Hello, my name is Brian Cronin. I'm very pleased to welcome you to this tutorial, Reply to an EPO Communication for the EQE Paper B, based on the European Qualifying Examination 2014 Paper B, Electricity Mechanics. Here's an introduction. This is part 2 of the tutorial, Reply to the EPO Communication, Planning. I'm assuming you have already followed part 1, which was a simulation of information. In part 2, we will organize the information into a plan ready for presenting the claim amendment and for writing the reply letter, which we will deal with in part 3. Next is an outline for planning. Here is how to organize the information into a plan for the answer in outline. Claim amendments, basis of the amendments, outline of novelty, outline of inventive step, closest prior art, which will be D1, differentiating feature, effect, objective problem, reasons for unobviousness, over D1 and over D1, possibly combined with D2. During planning, we will refer back to the source documents as necessary, in particular to the passages marked during a simulation. This may involve some rereading or deeper reading and marking up further passages to be included in the reply. Next, let's consider what we are doing as we implement the plan outline. The proposed plan outline corresponds to the sequence with which we will reply. That is, claim amendments followed by a pre-formatted sequences of your reply letter. You can prepare note sheets according to this sequence and fill the note sheets progressively during the planning stage. Planning is mainly rearranging the input information into the pre-formatted letter sequence, which is our output. By building up your plan, you are rehearsing for rewriting your answer. And by rehearsing your answer, you should be able to write quickly while smoothly integrating information from the source documents. Let's start planning our claim amendments. On the left, I have the proposed claim amendment. On the right is the basis I will use for the amendment. Firstly, first amendment will be to remove the air channel from claim 1, and for this I put as basis T33187, which is a very standard case law decision reported in the guidelines, and the 3 points of this decision are not essential, for which I will use figure 1 paragraph 11, not indispensable for the function, and requires no modification, and I will fill up the arguments according to this three-pronged arguments. The second amendment is to limit claim 1 to a piezoelectric vibrator, and this will be based upon original claim 3 that will be deleted. Claim 2 is unamended, but now depends on amended claim 1, which includes the feature of original claim 3, and the basis for this is that the original claim 3 depends on any preceding claim, therefore no subject matter is added. Next amendment is to amend new claim 3 to wherein the vibrator unit comprises a vibrator plate. This is based upon paragraph 9, and this overcomes the objection in paragraph 4 of the communication. You can make these notes for the proposed claim amendments on one copy of the claims, unamended or client's proposed claims, keeping one copy to be amended for handing in. We'll now continue with the claim amendments for new claim 4 and following. New claim 4 will introduce the air channel, and this is based upon original claim 1 and figures 2 and 3. Next amendment is new claim 5, which is a system of a closure in combination with the bottle based upon paragraph 3. The bottle comprises a base having an internal parabolic surface, which is based upon paragraphs 3 and 10. And I am proposing to add the feature that the bottle has an air inlet when the closure has no air channel, based upon paragraph 11, which I thought was an essential feature of the bottle and closure combination. Let's now review our plan for the letter structure and arguments. The reply letter will start with the basis of amendments to be written claim by claim later, or by bulking out the previous notes. We will make an outline of novelty of claim 1 over D1 and over D2 individually. And we will make an outline of inventive step, taking D1 as the closest prior art, bringing out the differentiating feature, the effect, the objective problem, and reasons for unobviousness over D1 and D1 plus D2. Note that the structure of the reply letter is predetermined. Inventive step follows the problem and solution approach. You can practice this structure at work in the replies that you make to the European Patent Office. I suggest that you build up your plan by going through each step in turn, and we could fit in extra headings like unity or clarity as appropriate as we go along, if that will be necessary in any particular situation. In your work and your exam preparations, you can use there's a set of notes with the given headers that you fill in progressively as you build up your plan, not necessarily in the plan can come in random as the information arises, but the notes will be made according to the structure of the plan. Starting with novelty. Here now we have an outline for the argument for novelty of claim 1. Claim 1 is novel over D1 by the characterizing features, namely the piezoelectric vibrator versus a tuning fork. Claim 1 is novel over D2 because D2's piezoelectric vibrator is not part of the closure. It is attached outside the bottom of the bottle. Note that to establish novelty, it is enough if you point out a single distinguishing feature over each prior art document. However, if a paper B presents prior art that requires an extensive argument to establish novelty, you have to be prepared to present a detailed argument. So novelty is usually not difficult, as in the present case, and if so, it carries only low credit. If novelty is more complicated, it will attract a longer argument and more credit. Next, we turn to inventive step, starting with an identification of the closest prior art. And we must always give a reason for choice of the closest prior art. So here I'm suggesting that the D1 would be the closest prior art because it has the same aim as the invention, to accelerate maturing of beverage, and it has the same structure, the closure incorporates a vibrator. I have also put in a note that D2 is further away because it has a different aim, micro shaking of sediment, and a different structure, vibrator remote from the closure on the bottom of the bottle. So in the B paper, it's useful to justify your choice of the closest prior art and also discuss why other documents is or are less close. This criticism of prior art will be useful or can be useful as a precursor for your later arguments on inventive step. Most important for identifying the closest prior art is that you should bring in facts from the client's invention and facts from the prior art. So you have to refrain from making catch-all statements like A is the closest prior art because it pursues the same aim and has most features in common. Next, we identify the differentiating features. So the differentiating feature of Claim 1 over the prior art are those of the characterizing part, namely that there is a piezoelectric vibrator and it is suitable for generating the sound waves at different frequencies. In a properly constructed two-part claim, the pre-characterizing part is framed on and covers the closest prior art. The characterizing part then comprises the differentiating features of the claim over the prior art. Identifying the differentiating features usually presents little difficulty. Remember, however, it is the differentiating feature of the claim over the prior art, not the differentiating feature of the prior art over the claim. Next, we turn to the associated technical effect. So we have to find a technical effect associated with the claim's differentiating features. And for this, we can see the description paragraph 6 and paragraph 1 of the client's letter setting out advantages. And the advantage given by the client is that a single closure can generate sound waves at different frequencies, and different specific flavors can be selectively developed in an alcoholic beverage using a single closure. The technical effect is typically an advantage, and typically the technical effect will be found in the client's description. So you have to look out for advantages that are obtained by the claim's distinguishing features. The statement of the technical effect is going to serve as a basis for setting up the objective technical problem, which is the next step. You can express the objective problem in various ways. You can formulate the problem in general terms to what the invention achieves. The problem should not state advantages or effects that are not attained by the claimed solution, and you should avoid including elements of the solution in the problem. So here is my example of an objective problem. Providing a closure for beverage container for accelerating the beverage maturing process, promoting different specific flavors in the beverage using a single closure. So that is an outline of how I'm going to express the technical problem. As I said, you can express the technical problem in various ways. The illustrated draft is based on advantages as stated by the client. You have to find a good way of expressing the problem that suits you. Then we turn to reasons for unobviousness, or in other words, support for inventive step. A standard argument pattern for the paper B is the following. First, why the skilled person would not arrive at the claimed subject matter from the closest prior art, which happens to be D1, taken alone. Then, why the skilled person may not consider combining the closest prior art with the secondary prior art, in other words, D1 and D2, to solve the objective problem. Next, if the skilled person were to combine D1 and D2, why this combination would fall short of the claimed subject matter. And then you repeat this pattern if there is another secondary prior art document, D3. So you would consider D1 plus D3 and theoretically possible combinations of D2 and D3. This standard pattern, argument pattern can be applied to paper B situations, and I suggest that you use it as a framework for your plan to build up the arguments. Let's start from D1. In the next slides, I have indicated standard wordings in red as opposed to facts imported from the client's document or from the documents. Always begin by considering non-obviousness over the closest prior art alone. Bring in the facts from D1, and where appropriate, imagine what modifications would occur to the skilled person but would not lead to the claimed solution. So applying this then to D1, there is no hint or suggestion in D1 of getting to the claimed subject matter. That is a standard argument. D1 has a mechanical tuning fork driven by an external loudspeaker. To promote different flavors, D1 proposes different closures with different tuning forks. In other words, it teaches away from the invention. And D1's loudspeaker-driven tuning fork is unsuggestive of using a piezoelectric vibrator. Concentrate your notes on facts from the cited documents. You can bring in standard wordings or openers or closers or fillers, as I've indicated in red, when you write your arguments, but your arguments should be based on facts from the cited documents. If you are not yet familiar with the standard wordings, you can build up a collection that you can write alongside the headers as a prompt for later writing. Next, we consider D1 plus D2. Begin by setting out the reasons why the skilled person would not turn to D2 to solve the problem. This could be because D2 sets out to solve a different problem. So we have D2 combined with D1. D2 pursues a different aim, namely micro-shaking of sediments under pressure. There is no teaching in D2 of accelerating maturing of a beverage and promoting different specific flavors. D2's arrangement is incompatible with the claimed solution, and we continue over. D2's piezoelectric vibrator operates at a fixed frequency of 0.1 kilohertz to minimize generation of carbon dioxide. D1 paragraph 3, virtually no acceleration of maturing expected at frequency below 1 kilohertz. This is a reference now to the client's application. D2 teaches away from frequencies liable to promote specific different flavors. So, as notes, what we are doing here is bringing out the incompatibilities of D2 with D1, and if D2 teaches away from the solution, we need to bring this out. So we will continue with the reasons for incompatibility. D2's piezoelectric vibrator fits on the outer surface of the bottle base. This requires a width of several centimeters. D2's vibrator could not be fitted in a bottle closure. So this continues the statement of incompatibilities. And next we will consider a theoretical combination. D2 combined with D1. D2's piezoelectric vibrator, if it were redimensioned and fitted in D1's closure, it would not effectively perform microshaking, which requires the bottle to be vibrated with the neck pointing downwards, 0 paragraph 1 of D2. This is a reason for not doing it. And moreover, it would operate at a fixed frequency of 0.1 kilohertz, ineffective for accelerating maturing and promoting different specific flavors. So here we are imagining a modification that would not occur to the skilled person and would not lead to the claimed solution. It loses the stated advantage of D2 and does not achieve the advantage of D1. This brings our notes for the factual support for Inventive step to an end and completes our plan. When you write your arguments, you can use the notes to present the facts with more or less standard introductory statements and lubricating statements and filler statements, and bring the argument to a standard conclusion. You can organize and consolidate the notes when you write this answer. That we will cover in part 3 of the tutorial. Here then is a summary of the part 2 planning. At the end of the planning phase, you should have a comprehensive set of notes for writing the final product, which will be the amended claims and the reply letter. The notes will be organized according to the structure of the final product, in other words, the amendments to the claims and the outline for the letter to the EPO. Before writing your answer, you should check through the notes and fill any gaps. As you go, you should complete your notes by highlighting passages of the documents that you're going to quote. Completing this set of notes consolidates your understanding and serves as a rehearsal for the final writing. In summary, your set of notes should be such that you're able to convert them into a complete reply to the communication efficiently. Writing of the answer is the subject of part 3 of the tutorial. Now some final words. This is the end of part 2 of our tutorial on paper B, planning. Please continue with part 3, the final product, or writing the final product, and comments. À bientôt.